Hey everybody, this is Battleline by Reiner Knizia, who I like, and I'm super excited to tell you about this game today because this game was actually recommended by somebody who viewed my Lost Cities review, and felt like Lost Cities was dated play, and this was really the two-player masterpiece by Knizia, and that this is the game I should play and check out and recommend. So, I did, and I played it, and you know what? This is a great game. I'll get to my comparison in a second, but absolutely worth your time, absolutely a gem, very fun for two players. Now, one of the things that I find really interesting about playing multiple games by the same designer is that sometimes designers have hallmarks or mechanics they use that are really interesting that they're expert at. And this is a great example of one of those exact mechanics by Knizia, and that is he loves when you have a hand of cards and lots of information, and you want to look at the information in your hand and on the board and wait and sort of build up cards, build up information to then play. And the longer you wait, the better your chances of making a good play is, but at the same time, there's this pressure of battle or losing or changing of the board of your opponent that creates tension for you as a player. This is true in Battleline. This is true in Lost Cities. This is true in The Confrontation. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and when you play one game, then you play another, you feel it again. You feel that tension, and not many other designers do that tension that way as well as he does. So really interesting to play multiple games of his. Now, for this game, Battleline is as straightforward as Lost Cities is, though it's more complicated, but it's as straightforward as draw a card, play a card. Now, in this game, you are trying to win these flags. And this is a flag, and I'll talk about the pieces in a second. But for the flag, there are 9 of them out in front of the players, and each player is building up a force behind the flag to essentially take it. And the objective of the game is to be the first player to take 5 flags, or the first to take 3 directly in a row. So there's some different win conditions in that regard as you're playing the lined up flags. Then you just have your cards. Now, pretty straightforward. They have a number and a color, 1 to 10, and then 6 colors. And players are essentially making poker hands. You can have a flush, a straight, you can have 3 of a kind, and the different hands have superiority to each other. So essentially, we're playing in front of each of these flags in order to build up a force strong enough to take it. And once a player has 3 cards, you look at the entire board, and if you can demonstrate that that player cannot beat your hand, you can take the flag onto your side. So you start by working through your cards and playing them down, but sort of having that situation where you want to build up information in your hand. The other things, there are event cards. They change the dynamic a little bit. They're sort of either wild cards in play that give you unexpected numbers, or they might change it so that 4 cards wins a flag, or the colors don't matter anymore and it's just the value of all the numbers added together. So it really is a mind game, and I have to say, Lost Cities is fantastic. I highly recommend Lost Cities, and play Lost Cities before you play Battleline. Battleline builds on all of those mechanics and just expands it. Instead of dealing with a few things, you're dealing with 9 different flags and all these different hands, and it's super cool, but it's a little overwhelming. And certainly, understanding the mechanics of Lost Cities first will ease you into these extra elements. But it's fun. It's great. I'm going to be playing this a lot, so I'm thrilled with it. Now, the other thing I want to talk about quickly is the box and the components. I don't really usually talk about this in a negative way, but this bothered me. This is a gigantic box for what's essentially 1 deck of cards and 9 of these little things. You can hear it rattling around. I mean, there's a bag in there, they're not in there, but it's a giant box. And I understand you want to have it on display, but this game could fit in a container like that big. And it should, because this is a game you want to tuck in your bag and take with you. You want to put in your pocket and take with you. And then you have these pieces, which are fine, but nowadays, these should be little wooden flags. What am I complaining about? I guess all I'm saying is, there's a huge opportunity to remake this game in a small container with slightly better components. I think the card stock could be better. If you bend this, it's going to crack, and you do play them a lot. Some people don't love the theme and the art. I think it's fun and appealing, but if you want to do something more modern, actually, there's a game on Kickstarter right now, Strife, which builds off of these mechanics, but then throws in fantasy and magic cards. So it's more over the top, but sort of that same take a land, or take an area, a flag, if you will, from another player, competing with them. So there are more modern games that leverage these mechanics and add elements to it that you should check out. But at the same time, I have to say, this is really good. So I'm thrilled that it was recommended. I'd still play Lost Cities first, but thank you. Thank you for telling me about the game. Cheers.